Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture. He's Michael Hamflett from WhatCulture. The Royal Rumble is this weekend, and a lot of other channels out there will give you some sort of vague predictions. Not us here at WhatCulture. We are here to predict absolutely everything in the Royal Rumble 2025. Starting off with general predictions.
General predictions?
My sir. About like surprise appearances and what have you. Look, Joe Hendry's a lock to be in there. Obviously, I'd bet my house on it now. Same goes for Jordan Grace, if she can get out of her mum's birthday, that is. But in terms of other surprises, we could see a Masha Slamovich in there, of course, with her links to WWE through TNA. And I know she hasn't made an appearance on the main roster, but they've been teasing some stuff. It's in Indianapolis. Go Colts. So, of course, Pat McAfee could decide yet again to take someone's spot, step from behind the desk, and then leave immediately. Indeed. Pointless appearance. We could see a real surprise in Aleister Black returning. Obviously, Malachi Black no longer associated with AEW. Roxanne Perez coming up from NXT has been spoken about for quite some time now. She was great in there last year. I would love to see her in there again this year, especially with her links to Bayley on NXT. Other names, Alexa Bliss. If she can get some childcare or whatever. Charlotte Flair.
She's taking her daughter to Jordan Grace's mum's birthday.
Right, got it, yeah, thought so.
Yeah,
Charlotte Flair's going to be in there, but will be a huge pop regardless. Becky Lynch, another surprise appearance. And maybe, just maybe, AJ Lee.
Fingers crossed for AJ Lee. The latest is, well, there's news out there today on this very channel, per Fightful Select, obviously, about the idea that they could make it happen. She's always kept in shape. She's done stuff for heels and the like. And the CM Punk rift was always the big kind of like slammed shut door that is no longer the case. So yeah, fingers crossed for AJ Lee. You mentioned Becky Lynch as well. I think the cool thing about the Women's Royal Rumble is that to work around terrible booking, they have no choice but to do interesting surprises. So the fact that they've not done much of a job of making this feel important or prestigious on television has actually allowed, now we arrive at Showtime, for the possibility of what, like 15 to 16 surprises? Unannounced wrestlers, NXT call-ups, surprises, legends, all that sort of stuff. I've been hitting the old The Third button on my TV and watching a bunch of old Rumbles over the last few days. And that is a kind of a constant feature in the women's one, partly because of a smaller roster, but just in general, rarely are they booked just as meaningfully as the men. That's a massive problem, but on the night you kind of forget because there's various pop-thrilled entrance themes. Like, I've been watching Michelle McCool kicking ass. Like, in every Rumble that she works, you've seen Mickie James with the TNA title in the past.
Cameron? She showed up once.
Cameron, indeed. Cameron, as part of a long-running feuд at the time between Naomi and then SmackDown GM Sonya Deville.
Of course.
And Sonya Deville was like, now I'll get in and I'm going to bully the Funkadactyls. So look, any part of sort of like women's wrestling history within WWE that you can mine, they're thinking of mining it too. Like, Nikki Bella is one for me, a sentimental favourite that I'd just like to see make her return, if all is well with her. So yeah, it does feel like in terms of surprises this year, all eyes are on the women's match.
Yeah, and you may have noticed that the former Iconics have taken a booking over WrestleMania weekend.
I mean, I couldn't help but notice I'm friends with you.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
So yeah, and yeah, we've all said his name and he will appear. We believe in Joe Hendry entering the Royal Rumble. So yeah, I fully expect that one as well. Again, not the first TNA champion to do so. And speaking of Joe Hendry's place in the Royal Rumble, obviously he appeared first for WWE in an NXT Battle Royal, where he was the first one eliminated. It was almost kind of the match was kind of at his expense, wasn't it, on that night? Well, I'm thinking for the shortest time, the fastest elimination, the kind of the joke role of this year's Men's Royal Rumble, to be one of the New Day. They have become the pariahs of the WWE locker room. Everybody from Dominic Mysterio to Pete Dunne doesn't want them around. Rey Mysterio, as the locker room leader, this generation's Undertaker, says no playing bones with us. And even their own families have abandoned them at this point. So it kind of stands to reason that for all the years that Kofi Kingston was the escape artist, that he tries it once as a heel and everybody's like, don't do that, and like runs out, like he gets back in the ring. That's not charming anymore. We hate you, and they just like push him off the.
Or the referee just like kick the chair from underneath. No, we're not having this bollocks.
Both have lost to Rey Mysterio. Look, I'll be straight with you. I don't really like the booking of the New Day so far. I think it's been a bit too lightweight since the Amazing Turn. But if there's ever one match that can like be illustrative of what they've been doing, it's this one.
Yes.
You're going to get serious. You've got time. It's the road to WrestleMania. You can have an elimination result in like we've asked for like a heavy heat angle. They need to get nasty and do something really awful. Why not have a Royal Rumble elimination and the kind of embarrassment of that? If Big E isn't in the match, we should say. Different gravy entirely if Big E's in it, but if he's not, make them clowns one more night and then start getting serious.
Or guaranteed heat on the night is you get chucked out and it's like, well, rules are rules, both feet hit the floor, you know how it goes. And then just get back in and chuck whoever's chucked them out as well.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
You can't do that. And further anger the following night. Really start to stoke the fires a little bit.
Moving on, who on Saturday night is going to say, I am the Iron Woman for the match? I've got an interesting pick for this one. Liv Morgan, perhaps.
Right,
She's had a checkered history in Rumbles for a period. I think she had the record for shortest time in a Royal Rumble, like 8 seconds or something in 2019. She obviously came incredibly close to being the Iron Woman a couple of years ago in 2023. She was 1 second short because, of course, Rhea Ripley beat her and won the match. So she could be someone who, she's not a champion right now. She's probably not going to be a champion on this road to WrestleMania. Tag titles, maybe. Who knows? But they obviously like her. She's had an incredible year, and this could be something, especially with the help of Raquel Rodriguez, that they give to her. Other obvious names, people are always in this conversation. Your Charlotte Flairs, your Becky Lynches, and Bianca Belair, of course.
It is a role that traditionally favours the babyface, but there is a bit of unique history on the side of this very prediction. In the run to the Royal Rumble, we've been doing all the coverage, and my speculation is that, like Raquel Rodriguez, as the fact that she's played people's diesels about 4 times at this point, we'll get something of a diesel run, where like she's one of the bigger women in the match. She's kind of one of the stars that's still on the come up, maybe more than she should be.
Yeah.
Gets a little run, starts assembling a few eliminations together, and then Liv Morgan, somebody that has talked up the rise of Raquel Rodriguez in the build, is the one responsible when everybody gangs up on her with that last push. When have those exact events happened before? In 1994, when Shawn did it to Diesel, and that year Shawn Michaels was one of the Iron Men of that match. So there is precedent for the kind of the heel that is theoretically a bit of a snake, the one that's just trying to sneak through the match, actually stay in the course. She's not going to be in a women's title program at WrestleMania, we don't think, and yet the company will want to keep her star like kind of as high as they possibly can off the back of a very strong 2024. There are babyface bets that you can pick over Liv Morgan, but there probably aren't more convincing heels to play the role.
Absolutely.
As for the men's side of things, though, I am going to keep it a little bit more traditional. I'm going to do that with just one word. Jey Uso last year, and look, he was in the first 2 with his brother Jimmy as a test for the WrestleMania match, and the test failed. They shouldn't have booked the match, but last year nonetheless they were both number 1 and 2 and he had an incredible run. Why was that? It's because Jey Uso's entrance is awesome and you give it the best possible chance of having the best possible stage. I'm tempted to say do it again. Have him in that number 1 or 2 slot, maybe not with Jimmy this time now that they're both baby faces, but put him in early, give the fans the full Jey Uso live experience, because even if he enters at number 14 or something from the crowd, you kind of have to get to the point.
Number 15 will be in there before he gets in the ring.
This is it, like the match will be continuing on and he's still still in the bleachers or something. There's like 60,000 people in there, he's never going to make it to the ring. So give him the big stage start to things, 1 or 2 once again, but this time it's not about the stuff he's doing with Jimmy or the kind of the intra-match story they were telling. It's just about him trying to run the table, him going as long as he possibly can. Maybe later on in the match his Iron Man run is cut brutally short by someone like a Jacob Fatu, as cruel as humanly possible to bring that to an end. But it's another kind of like nearly but not quite night for Jey Uso, because that's kind of what he's best at.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, he's perfect this sort of role. I was thinking him. I was also thinking someone like John Cena, because that is
he's just so young.
There's a real showcase of, like, if he does something like this, people are like, John Cena can still you. And you just reiterate the fact that, it's his last year, but he's got big plans. He's not just doing a big farewell tour, and him being the Iron Man for this match, because it feels like he's going to come out early, like you say, again, to get a big entrance. And he's, one of the first people to declare for this match. And you want him to interact with as many people as possible as well. Because in theory, you could set up his next year of matches through the Royal Rumble with interacting with 29 other blokes. Could be in the final 4. Spoilers for what we're going to get to a little bit later on.
And that would obviously justify the time. There's something to be said for like the number 1 or 2 being one of the biggest stars in the match. There's always a sense of surprise in the stands that people aren't ready for it. You remember when Shawn and The Undertaker closed off the 2007 one and then were 1 and 2 in 2008. Like, that was Madison Square Garden. They've seen everything, and even they couldn't believe that like 2 of your heavy favourites were 1 and 2. They've got to go the distance if they're going to win. It does create like a unique kind of suspense rather than starting with a couple of mid-carders, so I'm not against that at all.
Who is going to get the most eliminations in the women's match, though? A lot of contenders for this one. I think it was Nia Jax last year, her and Bayley hoovering up loads of eliminations. Not many in the men's last year. It was very low numbers for that, but like...
It's badly booked. So.
Yeah, hopefully this year will be better. Nia Jax and Bayley, I think, getting a combined something like 15 eliminations in the Women's Royal Rumble match. But my pick for this year is Bianca Belair. Look, she only got one last year, but she has a great track record in the Women's Royal Rumble. The record holder for the most eliminations in a Women's Royal Rumble isn't in it this year, because it's Rhea Ripley, of course. But the likes of Nia Jax, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Shayna Baszler, they're all contending for that sort of thing. But it feels like it's something that should belong to Bianca Belair. And I think this year, just a reminder of how ridiculously talented she is. Her getting the most eliminations before perhaps more developments with the Jade Cargill-Naomi storyline being the reason that she doesn't win the Royal Rumble. Spoilers for later.
Yeah.
But I think, having her getting the most eliminations, it just makes sense.
Needy, say more. Look, the thing with Bianca Belair is that even when she's like not a bookie's favourite, she's always a fan's favourite.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't matter what she's doing up and down the card. People just want to root for Bianca Belair. It's the same with talking about the WrestleMania card and thinking like about all the different Bianca Belair matches that don't even relate to the title. She's on the card with or without a belt. She's one of them wrestlers. So it's all about how you preserve that kind of star power and that kind of aura. She can do that by herself, but it's nice once in a while for her to get a helping hand creatively.
And, there's the tired old way of doing eliminate. Oh, I'm fighting with you on the apron. Bop. Oh, you're out. That sort of thing. But like Bianca has so many different ways she can do it.
Yeah.
You can do a KOD out of there, or you could have someone. Oh, I'm just clean on one hand. Whip your hand. Whip your hand with a braid.
Double or treble KOD. Just bodies on top of bodies on top of bodies, straight over the top rope, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Love it.
There's nothing she can't do. And I guess that does take us to who's going to get the most eliminations in the men's match.
Intrigued to see your pick for this.
He's going to get more than one. It's Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Back in the Royal Rumble for the first time since he was destroying them, basically. It's a different game now. Roman Reigns used to receive a chorus of boos whenever he turned up for Royal Rumbles because he was the last one people wanted. Ever since then, became obviously the biggest star in the galaxy, enters the Rumble, not even as that version of himself because he's now a babyface. This will be the first time, really since 2014, when he was anyone but Batista, that Roman Reigns will be cheered in a Royal Rumble match. We are still in kind of like unique territory here. Lots of different conversations about who's going to win the men's rumble because of not just the ramifications for the winner, but the ramifications for all the losers too. And I don't think it's going to be Roman, and thus think he's going to be made to look like a winner in all but name only. So I well expect Roman Reigns to kind of like just be as dominant as he always was when he was on the come up, because it's a kind of consolation prize for not getting it done at the end. Look, that Roman Reigns could win the Royal Rumble, that's not the wildest prediction, and yet they've just booked it so well that the contenders feel just as strong.
Yeah, it feels like a lock for Roman Reigns to get a lot of eliminations in there because he's not my pick to win it, and therefore you want to give him something else, whether that be the Iron Man role or, most eliminations generally, I don't know, gets more fanfare and more attention. And like I said, last year's was crap. I think the most eliminations was like 4.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? People in there for like an hour getting one elimination. Come on, let's get on with this.
Yeah.
And other people you could suggest, obviously, a Jacob Fatu, maybe like an Obafemi if he comes in from NXT, for example. Bron Breakker.
I think he'll have a good year.
He was right up there last year, I think, with 3, so he was nearly the leader for the most eliminations. But Roman feels like the most obvious choice. A man who has never failed to make the final 3 in every Rumble he's been in.
And a stat I read the other day that I forgot to fact check. Should have done it, but I'm pretty sure it's correct off the top of my weird Fed brain. Whoever eliminates Roman Reigns from a Royal Rumble goes on to win that Royal Rumble.
Wow.
So that's something to watch when we get to Saturday. I was trying to do the math, the trig, the calc, and I landed on Batista in 2014. I landed on nobody in 2015 because he won and the business was in the bin. 2016 he was eliminated by Triple H. He became the WWE Champion, Hall of Famer, well deserved.
Sorry, in
2017 he was eliminated by Randy Orton because it was anybody but Roman. And then in 2018 he was eliminated by Shinsuke Nakamura, who went on to win.
2024, it's almost.
And it's big almost. It's Noah's almost in 20.
Drew in 2020?
Correct, yeah. So, we've just done it. So, stat confirmed, live on it.
Stat
so,
confirmed.
So, if somebody's tossing Roman, expect them to win.
Okay, fair enough. So, CM Punk it is. Let's talk about the final 4 in the women's match. I mean, it's going to be Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair is guaranteed to be in that. Again, other names that just feel like, and I don't know if they're doing the rule again this year, because we liked it last year with regards to the final 6. Well, no, that doesn't work because one of them's going to the going to WrestleMania already.
They laid
final
out
6 before, other than the winner.
Yeah.
Going into the Elimination Chamber, which I do like as an added touch, as a bonus for like, you didn't quite make it, but congratulations, you're in the Elimination Chamber instead. So Charlotte Flair's going to be in the Final 4 because she's winning, in my opinion. Then you Bianca Belair's, maybe Jade Cargill if she returns.
Yeah.
So you can continue that and bring that into the chamber as well. Becky Lynch, another name, obviously, going to be in there in contention. Because you need someone who makes sense as one of the final 2 of like, all right, it's probably going to be Charlotte, but if it's Becky, for example, I can see them doing X, Y, and Z in terms of title matches at WrestleMania. Or a name I've just pulled out that I'd like to see in the final 4, Jordynne Grace.
Yes.
Give her everything this year.
Yeah, she's already had a strong Rumble when she was still a TNA contracted wrestler.
She didn't get any eliminations in that Rumble, though.
It was all
That's
about...
mad. I didn't realise that until yesterday.
But that's how politically smart and savvy the booking of Jordynne Grace was. You're left with so many memories of how good she was without even thinking about the fact she wasn't able to toss anybody out. It didn't matter, because 12 months ago, she had 12 months left of being a TNA star, women's champion, and like breakout performer that you could just tell as soon as NXT got their like grubby hands on her, we're going to be like, yes, please, we'll take them forever. But yeah, that's like Jordynne Grace. We've kind of talked around, I guess. Someone like Raquel Rodriguez or somebody playing like physically dominant star of the match. Jordynne Grace occupies that space just as much, and it would be a statement of intent from the company, wouldn't it? It would let you know.
Let's see her in a chamber as well.
This is it. It would let you know that like immediately, if she's coming in at the top of the card, everybody already there needs to be worried about someone like her. There's kind of no better way to do it.
Love it.
Well, we move into the final 4 for the men's match, and really this is like 4 from 15? Like, it's an absolutely stacked and jacked field. And I'm just going to stack it and jack it as absolutely high as I can with the absolute biggest names for the final 4.
You're definitely going to jack it.
I mean, we're going to get demonetised at this rate, boys.
It's going to be, because they're all going to be jacked, because they're massive men, apart from CM Punk because he's straight edge, but the rest of them, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins and CM Punk.
Wow.
I am not messing around. I want all of these individual face-offs. You've got the sort of little overhanging hostilities between Punk and Seth from the Netflix match, where Seth has still promised, I'll ruin your life in the end, mate. I'll get you sooner or later. Roman Reigns' obsession with Seth Rollins is ultimately what cost him the title a year ago. I was watching their 2022 singles match yesterday when Roman lost by DQ because he just smashed him a bit with a chair.
Is that when he came out in the Shield?
Yeah, I'm still in the Shield, like all that sort of stuff. So there's never not going to be that anger between the two of them. Just John Cena with all 3 of them. Yeah. John Cena and CM Punk coming together for their first time as well, double arm manner. I just cannot wait to see it. So yeah, all for them. I'm going to save my prediction for the end because I've changed my mind 100 times in this Rumble this week alone. But yeah, the final 4 is not something that the company has actually dwelled upon as much as they should over the last few years. There's been several final 3s. There's been a number of like last 2 framed around the WrestleMania sign moment.
I love that. I'm not sure if they were the final 6, but I love that 3-on-3, the old guard versus the new blood.
2018, yeah. Like there's been a lot of like end sequences that are like this, but the final 4 was the old way they used to illustrate it, and I'm bang up for it this year because there's just stars everywhere you look.
Absolutely. In terms of who could possibly win the Women's Royal Rumble match, who's going to be Adams? It's Charlotte Flair. I've said it about 5 times already. Yeah, Charlotte Flair's winning the Women's Royal Rumble match. I mean, even if you just look at the odds, she is streets ahead of everyone else, and she ain't coming back just to be one of 30 in this Rumble, in my opinion. And a match with Tamina Stratton makes all the sense in the world at WrestleMania, even if the alignments might be slightly off, as me and Andy have talked about. Other contenders, though, I should mention some other names in here. Io Sky's another name. It feels like it's going to get far in the match and could well be fighting for a title at WrestleMania. And again, Becky Lynch, another one. Like if you had Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair as the final 2, as I've mentioned, people wouldn't think, well, Charlotte's definitely winning if they're fighting on the apron. People are like, ooh, who's it going to? It's going to be Charlotte Flair. But who's it going to be? It's going to be Charlotte Flair.
I can't really argue with that. I like the idea of Io Sky, as you pointed out, because Charlotte Flair, feels like a take that is as old at this point as the Royal Rumble gimmick itself.
A take as old as time.
Charlotte Flair could get a WrestleMania title match by appearing on the go-home edition of a TV show before WrestleMania and saying, I'll have that, thanks, and just get it. So it's one of those cases where she doesn't necessarily need the Royal Rumble, but this is a huge return. The context is different for Charlotte Flair. She's never been booked as a top star in a Triple H WWE WWE.
Yeah.
She's never kind of spent as much time off leading into a Royal Rumble. She's entered the thing as a WWE champion once. Remember that?
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like, I just fancy. I think I find myself at WrestleMania. I'll just get all the belts. Like the kind of. This is a brand new set of circumstances for Charlotte Flair to be returning. She is always going to be dominant, but she's not entering from a position of dominance, and I think that will actually help her cause, especially as we talked about. If she's insistent on being the babyface against Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, and plus she's the golden girl of WWE, and this would make her a record breaker. The first time someone's won 2 Women's Royal Rumbles, of course. She won it in 2020.
Indeed, yeah. Like, they like kind of attaching those stats to the people that they kind of trust, and Charlotte Flair feels brothered in as an all-timer at this point.
Right, I'm going to set up the old chin rest for this final entry.
Yeah, okay. So, shout out to Anthony Mango, who did the article for this on WhatCulture.com, and he has kind of won me round with his take on this one for the men's winner. I have been CM Punk ride or die for the duration of the build to the Royal Rumble, and on the night I will be thinking with my heart, but Anthony Mango's convinced me to go with my head on this one. Underdog out of nowhere victory for Seth Rollins.
Wow!
Now, think about it like this. That Final Four, which you can absolutely believe Seth Rollins will be a part of, you got to give him something, man. Like, he's in there with the John Cena, with the Roman Reigns and the CM Punk. What are we doing with those 3 men that we are not doing with Seth Rollins? Fantasy booking their WrestleMania matches, okay? So, like, CM Punk has got Roman Reigns if he wants him. He's got Cody Rhodes based on what happened on the Raw show.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes by this point may not even be WWE champion if he was to lose to Kevin Owens, for example. Everything feels up in the air other than someone like a Seth Rollins who kind of feels like he's got nothing at all, right? If he wins the Royal Rumble, he can line himself up against Gunther, somebody he had his own interaction with on the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw with Logan Paul. Maybe it's part of a singles or a 3-way as Gunther kind of tries to mop up the clowns of the red brand. Meanwhile, that does free up Punk and Roman to go into business against each other if they're responsible for their own eliminations. John Cena to perhaps go against Cody Rhodes, as has been heavily speculated on, in a kind of passing of the torch, and even factors in a possible appearance by the guy that kind of you've been scooping all along. That's right, 20 plus 9. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson himself, should he wish to get into the mix. One person he's probably not going to get in the mix with this year is Seth Rollins himself. Seth Rollins winning the Rumble elevates the status of the world title and frees up Elimination Chamber to kind of set the table for the WWE Championship, which, in a final coda, if it's held by Kevin Owens, means that Sami wins the Chamber in Canada.
Whoa.
So there is so many pathways at this point, kind of like an underdog like a Seth Rollins, and I do want to mention someone like a Sami Zayn, the guy that has been told by everybody on the roster is just not on that level, kind of like coming good on the night. While we're looking up and looking at the stars in the great WWE sky, it might be one of the just underneath ones that's able to get it done, because they're already in each other's business.
Booked about 12 main events for WrestleMania there.
That's what's great about the Rumble thus far. Roman's the tree, right? It's like all of these things that are still like kind of all the branches that are still sprawling and spiraling off the tree means that we cannot figure out what this WrestleMania card is, and that's where Seth Rollins cackles his way in.
I don't say this very often, but I really hope you're wrong, Michael Hamfler.
Thank you.
I think it's CM Punk's year. I think it makes the most sense in the world, and I think if they were and ahhing, because you've seen the odds, like Cena's there, and then maybe Roman or Punk's right there behind him. I think just stick your finger in the air, engage that reaction to Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. For a long time, I've said do CM Punk versus Gunther, because then you can do Cody versus the man who comes in at number 31 or whatever in the Royal Rumble, The Rock. But no. Learn from Tony Khan's mistake. Do Cody and Punk when you've got both of them and they're not getting into trouble. And
I'll do it on Monday. Don't get me wrong. I want it now. I'd
have Punk win the Rumble. Obviously, I wouldn't have Cena win the Rumble for the obvious reason of, like, well, if he wins the Rumble, he's not going to be in the Chamber. And the selling point is, can he ever get that world title match again? He's going in the Chamber. He's lost that. He's going in Money in the Bank. He's lost that. Is he ever going to get a title match? Yes, and probably going to win the world title at some point this year. Yeah. But I'd pick Punk every single day of the week and twice on Saturday.
Oh, nice. That is very good. That's
because he's the best and everyone loves him. So pick Punk to win.
It's about time they did one of these Rumbles where it wasn't a divisive winner. Yeah. And too many of them.
If not him, I'd go Roman ahead of a Cena or a Seth Rollins, to be perfectly honest. But I just love the unpredictability of all. I cannot wait for Saturday night, and join us for the live stream for that on Saturday night, Sunday morning in the early hours here in the UK, because Me and Phil Chambers are going to be leaping out of our chairs.
I can't wait for it. I'm going to be double screened, I think. I'm going to watch you guys. I'm going to watch the Rumble.
Oh, that's good of you.
I'm going to see what gets the jelly spot, and I want to hear C4 Energy said 60 times. No.
I've got the cans in, and I don't mean alcohol. I mean C4 Energy. I might be sick on the stream. Join us for it. But in the meantime, enjoy the Rumble, and if you want something else to get you excited, why not check out this video right here, ranking every single Royal Rumble match. We'll see you soon.